Now, earlier this week, lawmakers in Ghana's parliament unanimously passed a bill that would further restrict the rights of gay and transgender people in the country. The legislation would impose a maximum 5-year jail term for forming or funding LGBTQ+ groups and up to 10 years in prison for anyone involved in advocacy campaigns aimed at children. Now, same-sex relationships are already illegal in the country, and it's the latest sign of growing opposition to LGBTQ rights across Africa, where 30 countries criminalise homosexuality. Uganda's top constitutional court is currently examining a law that threatens life imprisonment, even death, for homosexuality. Well, earlier I spoke to Ghanaian trans woman activist and founder of Perfecray's International Artist Residency, Vabene Elikim Fiatsi, and the first openly non-binary queer photographer from Uganda, Dilavi Kwagala, also known as Papa Day, about the impact of this legislation on their lives. Vabene and Papa D, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us and have this conversation here on BBC News. Vabene, I'd like to start with you, if I may. Watching what has happened in Ghana this past week, I just wonder clearly how this makes you feel, and also what are your concerns for the LGBTQ+ community there?
Yeah, thank you very much. When the bill was pronounced on the 28th, I was really broken. Even though we anticipate that this bill was going to be passed that week, it still came to me as a shock that all this 275 parliamentaries allow just 8 members to propose such a bill, and it was successfully adopted as a law to be signed by the president. So it came to me again, hitting me hard. My concern for the community now is very heavier than before, because there are so many queer Ghanaians who do not even have shelter and are even homeless just because their parents kicked them out of home. So if this bill is actually assented to by the president, I just wonder what exactly will happen to all these young people and all the people I actually also care for and host in my house may also lose their home, because my landlord would also be jailed as criminalized by the law.
Well, listening to that, Papa D, and knowing that you left Uganda because of the anti-LGBTQ+ law that was passed there, just remind our international viewers of the climate there right now for your community and the risks.
At the moment, as also Vabene has stated, things are really not looking good for all queer Africans at the moment. Uganda particularly, of course, like during last year, especially like the peaking of a lot of violence unleashed to a lot of queer people, especially transgender women, and also, you know, like trans men that are not particularly passing, right? So we've had a lot of collective rape cases, sorry to say, and a lot of evictions, a lot of people being fired from their works. And the evictions have also gone ahead to not be just from a landlord or something, but like to the village, where they all decide collectively that you do not need to stay in their village, in their community, because you are bringing upon immorality. So a lot of livelihood has unfortunately been ruined and continues to be ruined, because a lot of people also want to leave because of how the system has been made. But at the same time, we do not have safe pathways to the freedom that we think that, you know, we're seeking for, you know. A lot of us also like are not even getting visas. I mean, like the asylum system at the moment is also like really, really deeply broken. South Africa at the moment has like a backlog of more than 5 years of asylum seeking applications, right? And I think the most unfortunate thing is that a lot of activists have also, like within the country and on the ground right now, have been completely silenced.
And you talk very clearly there about that cycle of going from, you know, one danger potentially to another one, which just brings me to the question, you know, what can be done in terms of international reaction? There has been talk from the US government about some kind of response to Ghana, with the US proposing restricting foreign aid to Ghana. Verbene, is that something that you would support?
Well, it's very complicated when it comes to the restrictions that the so-called the world superpowers impose on countries that are imposing these kind of laws on the citizens. It's it's a double sword, because when countries are even sanctioned and economically, it's at the end of the day, it affects the queer community and the less privileged people more than the people that they want it to affect, because the people in power are not affected by any of these sanctions, because they are the same people who hoard the country's resources and monies. So I don't know how to deal with situations of laying sanctions or restrictions on countries for these harsh laws. However, the ambassador from the United States to Ghana has also made it very clear how this bill would impact Ghana's economy, not necessarily only the restrictions and the sanctions, but there are so many investors who could stop investing into Ghana just because they themselves are affected by the law. Even just imagine me as a trans person who is capable of caring for more than like several tens of people in Ghana. Like there are students in a university, people who are learning trade, and I am paying for their school fees from my salary as an artist. So if this bill is affecting me, and I would be in jail, how do I continue to support the queer communities and even the non-queer communities? Because the people I support are not, all of them are not queer people.
And we know that there's also been US sanctions on Uganda as well. Papa D, I'd like to pose a final question to you, I suppose, about hopes for the future. Do you have hope of being able to return to Uganda?
Honestly, at the moment, that doesn't seem to be an option. A lot of things also, like including the safety of my parents or like, my relatives, also like, obviously I've been at the center of all of this, are also not safe. So me being at home, because them accepting me and welcoming me into our home is also criminalized, because everyone is basically turned into your enemy by obligation from the government. And I think for now, like how people can basically support us is just, like continuously amplifying the voices and educating themselves about like what is really happening on the ground.
Well, Verbene and Papa D, thank you both so much for speaking to us about this issue and speaking so candidly. We appreciate it. Thank you.